Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. A very warm welcome to yet another session of Global Festival of Oneness. This is Nitin Sridhar. Let me begin with a small prayer. Vakratunda Mahakaya Koti Surya Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Sarvamangala Mangalye Shive Sarvartha Sadhike Sharanye Trayambake Gauri Narayani Namostute Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Shri Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Today we have Swamini Brahmaprajnananda ji, who is joining us all the way from Mumbai, and she will be speaking on a very interesting topic, Vedanta as a journey from Jiva-Srshti to Ishvara-Srshti to an apparent Srshti. I think this is a very fascinating topic, and I'm personally eager to listen to the talk. Very warm welcome to you, Swaminiji. Thank you for agreeing for the session. And before going further, I just want to give a brief introduction to our audience. Swamini Brahmaprajnananda Saraswati ji has dedicated her life to the sharing of the timeless teachings of Dharma and Vedanta. She conducts Vedanta courses, podcasts, retreats for groups in Mumbai and for people across the world online. Her teachings seamlessly flow from areas of self-growth to self-discovery. A disciple of Puja Swami Dayananda Saraswati, she has studied Vedanta and Samskrita in a full-time residential 3-year program, and she was also a part-time student of Swami Brahmavidananda Saraswati ji. Swamini is a former psychologist, and in her last leadership position as the country head of an international organization, she impacted the lives of more than 15,000 street children annually. She has a website, discoveratma.com. So anybody who is interested to get in touch with Swaminiji can check out the website. Swaminiji, again, thank you very much. We are very happy to have you back on this festival. Please go ahead and start your session.
Thank you very much for inviting me to this Global Festival of Oneness, an annual event that a lot of Vedanta seekers, both beginners and perhaps advanced students, look forward to. Vedanta, the journey from Jiva-Srshti to Ishvara-Srshti to apparent Srishti. Start with a prayer. Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru-Paramparam. The topic is based on the 4th chapter of Panchadashi. It is called Advaita Viveka by Sri Swami Vidyaranyaji, who was the Shankaracharya of Sringeri Matha back in the 14th century. My talk will also reflect Adi Shankaracharya's Bhashya. So, Swami Vidyaranya always starts with a bang, and Koti Dvayam is what he starts with. So, in keeping with his style, he says, there are 2 types of Dvaitam, duality. One is created by Ishvara and the other is created by the Jiva. So when we inquire into this, it will be clear about what keeps the Jiva in bandha, bondage. And this duality is what creates a sense of separation, seemingly. But duality is not reality. The experience of duality is not reality, and hence the Jiva will be able to give up that which makes him or her feel restless and not enough. So to talk about Ishvara Srishti, Swami Vidyaranya quotes from different Upanishads belonging to the different Vedas. So, Mayam tu Prakritim Vidyat Mayinam tu Maheshwaram. So, this Jiva-Srshti is brought about with the help of Maya Shakti. And who does it? Mayinam, the wielder of Maya, creates this world. Shvetashvatara Upanishad. Then from Aitreya Upanishad he quotes, Atma va idamagra abhut saha ikshata srija iti. Saha sankalpena etan lokan asrijata iti bahu richaha. So before this creation, the Atma alone was. Atma contemplated, I should create. Thus, Atma created the 14 lokas, the spheres of experience. And this is in the Aitreya Upanishad of the Rig Veda. Then Sadeva Saumya Idamagra Asit. So Chandogya Upanishad, all that was there was Sat. Taittiriya Upanishad, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. And then goes on. Then Tasmadva etasmad atmana akasha sambhutaha akashad vayuhu vayoragnihi agnerapaha adbhyav prithvi prithivya oshadhayaha oshadhibhyonam annat purushaha. So how did this Srishti come about? So the Pancha Mahabhutas are spoken of, and all of them have come from Brahman, that is the Atma. So some sequence of manifestation is presented, and finally to the Purusha, the person. Then in Mundaka Upanishad, again we see that Yatha Sudiptat Pavaka Vispulingaha. So all just as thousands of sparks manifest from the fire, in the same way, from Brahman, that is Aksharam, different things that are sentient and insentient manifest. And finally, from Brihadaranyaka, we see that the world was unmanifest earlier. Now it is manifest as Nama Rupa, distinctly as Virat. And this Virat, which is a name for this gross physical world, includes Manu, human beings, Naraha, Gavaha, cows, and Ashwaha, horses, goats, Pipilika is so cute, up to ants. And the key word I want to highlight is Dvandva Miti. So duality is created. So in this way, totality, individuality were created. Then the second aspect of this creation is the Jiva. Because in Taittiriya we see the Deva Nupravishat. So having created all these different names and forms, different bodies, in line with the karma that they had, Ishvara enters as though and sustains the body by prana. And the definition of Jiva is a very beautiful one. Chaitanyam yat adhishthanam linga dehashta yaf punaha. So this Jiva is none other than Chaitanyam. And really it is Chichaya linga dehastha tat sanga khego Jiva uchyate. This assemblage, as though Sangha of Chaitanyam consciousness, Linga Deha, the subtle body, and this consciousness reflected in this subtle body, that is called Jiva. So now, did consciousness get reduced to Jiva? Question. So because Maya Shakti does not affect Ishvara, but that same Maya Shakti has Moha Shakti. Okay, so Avaranam is there, the ability to as though cover. And for the Jiva, there is duality created, I and the other. So Jiva, as though loses its Ishvaratvam, gets identified with the individual body, and naturally body is limited, so suffers the experience of the limitation and constantly has judgments, the larger theme being I am not enough. So this Ishvara Srishti, no problem. But the experience of duality has been created by the Jiva. So there is one aspect of duality created by Ishvara, which is the whole manifestation. And what is Isha Karyam? It is Jiva Bhogyam. So what is created by Ishvara, what is manifest by Ishvara as the Karyam, as the effect? What about it? It is Bhogya Vastu. It is something that is experienced by the Jiva. So example is given, just like a woman who has been born to a couple, the couple is the cause for this woman to have come into the world. But that same person after adulthood, in adulthood, becomes a bhogya vastu, an object of experience for the husband. So first there is Indian matchmaking, then kuch hota hai, then kabhi khushi kabhi gum, then life of this drama goes on. So now what was Jiva-Srshti? This person has now become someone to be experienced, bhogya vastu for the Jiva. Okay, no problem. But what happens is, Jiva does not see the objective world of Jiva-Srshti and converts it to Jiva-Srshti, the creation of the Jiva. So it is adhyasa on adhyasa. Okay. So for instance, now wedding season is still going on. Mother, daughter go to a jeweler's shop to shop for the diamond ring, wedding ring. Okay. Now, another mother-daughter duo also come to the same shop. So what is Jiva-Srshti? Money, diamond. It has been created. So the first duo, daughter loves the diamond ring and she says, oh, let me keep it aside. I want to see other variety also. So generally what most people do while shopping. Then this other duo, that woman, also who is waiting to get married, eyes that diamond ring and says, oh, I love this, please take it to the payment counter. I'm buying it right away. So there are three reactions now. First woman loved the diamond ring, but now is super angry because the second woman has now bought the diamond ring. The second woman, of course, totally loves the diamond ring. And the third person, the mother of the first duo, remains neutral. She has vairagya. She is neither elated nor she is angry. So these three different reactions, that I love something and the other is I am angry and now I dislike that person, dvesha. And there is more or less a pleasant neutrality, vairagya. I don't need it. I'm happy for the one who has it. This reaction, it is Jiva-Srshti. So Ishvara created this padartha, this wonderful world, and Jiva, who is a bhokta, added its own valuation to a non-living object or a person. So I like this one, I don't like this, etc. So as a result of which, Jiva, just obsessed with one's own srishti, or rather subjectivity, tries to protect everything about oneself. My views, my desires, my opinions, my perspectives, my possessions, my people. Okay. And of course, there is a struggle of acquisition also. So pretty much Jiva lives in his or her own world. This valuation or attributing a value to something that it doesn't have, either raga or dvesha, is the creation of Jiva. It is not Jiva-Srshti. So Jiva-Srshti, if the Jiva lives in, it cannot cause bandha. But Jiva-Srshti, my raga dveshas, and therefore the karma that is connected with it, all related to avidya, that Jiva-Srshti becomes the cause of bandha, bondage. So it is, of course, as though it's not real bondage. If it was real, then the jiva could never be free from it. But this as though bandha, so I feel dependent on things, objects, people. When people that I depend on are not around, there are reactions. And then there is fear of losing things or fear of losing people. We all know what happened during the pandemic. So now Jiva living in his or her own Srishti becomes subjective. And this further creates more Raga Dvesha. We have seen in the Gita, Dhyayato Vishayam Pumsaha Sangasteshu Pajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha Kamat Krodho Bhijayate. So you like something and then you dwell upon it. How nice it would be if the person I love is with me. How nice it would be if I could share something with the person. So the more we dwell on something, then a sangha is born with reference to that object or person. And that's also okay. But from that sangha, which becomes dependence, I can't do without this object, starting from coffee in the morning, my kind of coffee, to the kind of person. So from this sangha, what happens? Kama is born. And this is binding kama. Kama, we understand, is a valid purushartha. So that is something that helps to complete the emotional growth of the person. Here, when we are talking about kama, it's a binding desire. It's like Lace chips. You cannot but eat one. You cannot just eat one. I have to just gob. Okay. So that kama is not going to sit in the corner of your mind. When binding kama is not fulfilled, there is krodha. So a lot of anger is born. And then krodha bhavati sammoha smriti vibhramaha, smriti bhramshat buddhinashaha, buddhinashat pranashyati. There is no one in this world who has committed great acts of dharma through anger. Okay, so all of us, we know what happens to us. So all reasoning is lost. There is moha, there is confusion. All the learning that one had through the Shastra or through learning of life and so on, everything is lost. So one's language becomes very colorful. You don't limit it only to the person. You go all the way in the lineage. So you will, some people will abuse the parents and so on and so forth, and khandan. Okay. So this, we all know what happens. And then it seems like there is buddhi nasha and all learnings, vritti bhramshad, also mind is incapacitated, memories as though lost. And the person is in time destroyed because learning is not available to carry on with life. On the other hand, the one who has mastered one's mind and moves about in Jiva-Srshti with a recognition of awe and wonder and blessing and gratitude, raga dvesha viyuktaistu atma bashir vidheyatma prasadam adhigacchati. So free from raga dvesha attains prasadam, tranquility, and prasade sarva dukkhanam hanihi asya upajayate. So for the one whose mind is tranquil, there is no pain, no sorrow. So this granthi, which Shankaracharya speaks of, avidya kama karma. Because I don't know who I am, the jiva is not fully aware of the Ishvara-Srshti. I'm living in my own head. And I have taken whatever I am associated with to be me. So therefore, naturally, I feel incomplete, apurna. And to feel purna, to feel complete, I have to do something. So I look around, then there's lots to achieve. There is a lot of karma. And this binding karma that is there, it will not let me sit quietly. So it will propel me to perform karma. So this cycle, avidya, kama, karma, avidya, kama, karma, kama, karma, karma, kama, goes on and on. So, oh, I had lot of wishes in my childhood. Okay, I fulfilled it. Now what? You bought a property. Does it stop there? No, no, no. You know, this a home is not made with just four walls. I think we must decorate it. Then you go to a shop, then you get boggled with all the variety. And then you say, oh, well, that person has this in their house, and then I think we should do it tastefully. So, more karma. Now, to satisfy all the karma that is there, all the things you want to buy for the house, necessities and luxuries, naturally, their karma has to be done. Not like your father-in-law is going to provide for, funding your whatever are your desires. So this karma goes on, and all of it is for the sake of fullness. It is different for a jnani who does things out of fullness, not for the sake of fullness. So in any case, the jiva in this kama karma cycle tries to avoid dukkha, still wants happiness all times, all places. So now what to do? So now this jiva who is living in Jiva-Srshti, in one's own subjectivity, has to move into objectivity. How live? So the jiva has to wake up to the fact that I am living in Ishvara-Srshti. So what does that mean? I recognize Ishvara as karmadhyakshaha. All the karma that I do in all my roles as partner, parent, son, daughter, professional, citizen, and so on and so forth. I am able to do this karma because the law of karma pervaded by Bhagavan allows me to do it. And as I perform my different responsibilities, which give me so much joy, I see that the different results in the form of situations, people coming into my life, opportunities, punya, papa, little bit maybe, they are all still pervaded by law of karma, and Ishvara is karma phala data. So now all that I thought was I, me, mine is given to me by Ishvara. This is when the jiva moves to living in Ishvara-Srshti. So my sukha dukkha is also pervaded by Ishvara. And this world which I struggle with is not in opposition to me. In other words, the jiva begins to live in Ishvara-Srshti when the first mantra of Ishavasya Upanishad becomes very clear. So, Ishavasyam idam sarvam jagat. So, idam sarvam jagat, that this jagat is nothing else but Ishvara. And my drishti changes. So, the object, which was just an ordinary object, you bought from the temple shop, you made an offering, and then when it came back to you, it's so beautiful, you make certain offerings, then what the offerings you make at the altar, to whichever deity, then it will go to someone else. Very beautiful. And then, but when whatever you receive from the altar, it is prasada. So this beautiful action depends on my drishti. The object has not transformed. My drishti has transformed. How? That I see that whatever comes from Ishvara is prasada. And Ishvara obviously is not limited to the temple because Ishavasyam sarvam idam jagat. So this entire jagat is Ishvara, and therefore all forms, all made of Pancha Mahabhuta. So they are all prasada, different forms of prasada. I may have some reactions to some of them, but the more I see the things around me, the people around me, the situations I face, the opportunities that come, my past, my present, the future that is to come, the my parents, and my own body, mind, all this is prasadam. So with this drishti, something changes. I am not struggling as a jiva. I am not struggling with my subjectivity. And as Bhagavan Krishna says, nimitta matram bhava savyasachin, of course, he tells Arjuna. So now I am free, relative freedom, of course, but I change my relationship with the world. I am not constantly reacting and then reacting to my reaction and then singing like Hrithik Roshan, मैं ऐसा क्यों, मैं वैसा क्यों, मैं जैसा ही हूँ, ऐसा ही हूँ, whatever something. No, I am at peace. And even my raga dveshas, bhaya, abhayam, so sattva samshuddhihi, all of that, matta eva prithak vidhaha. So Bhagavan in Vibhuti Yoga, 10th chapter of the Gita, he tells us that, all these things you think about and all your mental dispositions, all the values, even fear, even dukkha, they are all sustained by me. So therefore, the jiva drops his or her resistance to the world, to oneself, and the different ragas and dveshas that one has, purva janma samskara, or even this lifetime, they are all reduced to preferences. So jiva is now prasanna because of prasada buddhi, living in Ishvara-Srshti. As a part of Ishvara-Srshti, we have been gifted with free will. And so whatever is required for loka sangraha, for the well-being of humanity, one must and one has to do one's duty. Anyway, you're living a life of relative freedom. So this Jagat is meant to do seva. Ramana Maharshi, very beautifully, he says, Ashtadhihi. This, this Jagat is actually made up of this eightfold form. And if you really want to worship Isha, then what should you do? Do seva. So yatha shakti, yatha mati, whatever, according to your own thinking and capacity, see how you can contribute with your talents, your skills, the roles that you are in, to the different causes that are very much required for the dharma to be upheld. Because dharma lies, or dharma is alive in a dharmi. So yes, of course, Dharma Shastra, all that is there, but Dharma Shastra is of no use if there are no dharmis to uphold dharma. And the good news is that all of us are dharmis to some extent, because the voice of dharma is there in everyone's heart. We all naturally want to, be kind to the other person. We want the other person to be kind and accepting to us. We don't want to be insulted. The other doesn't want to be insulted. This thinking is there in every person. Of course, it is refined, but dharma naturally makes us very happy. So the law of dharma actually propels society, takes a society forward. And the more I align all my raga dveshas to dharma, which indeed is a manifestation of Bhagavan, then the rigid Jiva-Srshti that I was living in, it kind of loosens, and now I am living in Ishvara-Srshti, which is a great joy. So then Vidyaranya, he shifts our attention a little bit, quoting Shankaracharya and Sureshwaracharya. He says from the Upadesha Sahasri that Musha Siktam Yatha Tamram Tannibham Jayate Tatha Rupa Din Vyapnuvat Chittam Tannibham Drishyate Dhruvam. So just as tamram, this copper, when it is poured into a mold, it takes the shape of that mold. So too, this mind that conjures up raga, dvesha, living in its own world, what happens to the mind? Well, the mind also takes the form of the object. So when you are in Ishvara-Srshti, there is an external pot outside and there is an internal thought. Okay, with reference to this skin covering only internal, external, otherwise there is no internal, external. So who sees this thought? It is Sakshi. So I am that Sakshi. That is the witness of even my thoughts. So the thoughts, which are the most subtle forms, are illumined by me. I am that self-evident, self-illumining Sakshi. And I am not my thought. So therefore, there is no more Jiva-Srshti. Only when my thoughts or when the objects are taken to be very real, there is Sukha Dukkha. So Jiva-Srshti is there, and then there is the experience of Bandha. Then he only raises a question. Oh, which means that, if I can just master my mind, then it's all good. So there is no need for Brahmajnanam. And let us just do pranayama and sit in samadhi. So then the reply is that, oh yes, it's true. Pranayama, samadhi will definitely help to resolve Dvaitam, but it is only temporary. So in the samadhi experience, one will be one with the object. Okay. But then when you come out of the samadhi experience, again, avidya is there. No question about it. So very much like this person who Swami Brahmavidaranji would speak about, he used to do this trick of breathing very slowly. I mean, it's one of those siddhis actually. And he would be found at Chowpatty, Juhu. So on the beach, he would be buried in the sand and with his head sticking out. Then there would be some chelas and he would say, okay, now, when there are a few people have gathered, just bury me and I'm going to slow down my breath. Of course, he will cover his nose with a handkerchief so that the sand doesn't go in. And after 10 minutes, you then bring me out. So this is an extraordinary feat and people would be expected to give some money. So one fine day like this he did. And then his chelas, they buried him. So then he was totally covered by sand. And after 10 minutes, they try to pull him out. So then he just shakes off the sand and then he looks around. He says, what the hell? This is all the money we got? So he went through a samadhi experience and so much control, pranayama, etc. But he's so disappointed with the money that people gave because they didn't recognize his great siddhi. So Vidyaranya says, you know what? This any experience of oneness, it will start in time and end in time. But what about the cycle of birth and death? So this Dvaitam that we experience, it does not disappear. And the good news is Dvaitam need not disappear. Dvaitam cannot bother you. Duality cannot bother you if you know its reality. If you know that duality or Vyavaharika Satyam is pervaded by Paramarthika Satyam, the absolute reality. And then Vidyaranya continues to say, you know what? Actually, this Ishvara created Dvaita. Don't think it's an obstacle. It is a boon for the seeker. Because this entire world of plurality has been created with great joy, with great abundance, with great fullness. And we see that expression of Ananda in Bhriguvalli. Anando brahmeti vyajanat anandadhyeva khal vimani bhutani jayante Anandena jatani jivanti Anandam prayantyabhisamvishanti ti Saishabha argavi varuni vidya. Very beautiful mantra in the Taittiriya. So all that we see here has come from Ananda. And it is Ananda fullness, which is Ananta, no lack, that sustains all the Bhutani. And then whenever resolution happens, everything is going to resolve in that Ananda. So presence of waves in the ocean, whether they are roaring or they are quiet, is not a problem for us. Our attention is on the water. So then, what is the nature of this Jiva and Ishvara? Jiva is changing. Jagat is changing. What is not changing? Swarupa of both Jiva and Ishvara. So in the Mahavakya Tattvamasi, Tat, a word, pronoun for that is for something that is remote. So referring to Ishvara, a word for Saguna Brahman with respect to Srishti. It is changing, it's manifesting. And what is changing is Mithya. Mithya is not illusion, it is not delusion. The best word for Mithya is Mithya. Okay, it is a non-translatable. And it is a word that reveals the status of reality of the object. So with respect to clay, pot, what is the reality of the pot? It is Mithya. Does it exist? Yes. Can it exist on its own? No. Can I say the pot does not exist? I see the pot. So you can't, I see the pot-bellied person. So you can't say that it doesn't exist. So it has satasat bhyam anirvachaniyam. It is real, but it is not real in the sense that it appears, but it cannot exist on its own. So with respect to tvam, that tvam referring to the jiva is a word with respect to the karyakarana sanghata, this mind-body complex, which is changing. So when the person is born and subsequent birthdays, happy birthday to you, then at some point in time, Ram Naam Satya Hai, when the body is carried to the funeral, what is changing about the jiva, the form, is mithya. It has a status of dependent reality. Form is changing. So jivatvam is changing. Ishvaratvam is changing because there is, manifestation, pralaya, so on and so forth. Ishvara is not mithya because Ishvara is Saguna Brahman. But that which is unchanging, is timeless, never manifested, never born, never died, is Satyam, that is Brahman, that is you, that is Ishvara. So then, what else can we say about this Jiva-Srshti? What are you talking about? For this, we look at Mandukya Upanishad. So Gaudapada, in his Karika, he says, the often quoted examples, that Atma is like space. So it seems like it is born because of these jivas, which are like pot spaces. But all that is there is only one Advaitam. It appears as Dvaitam because of so many forms. So Rupa, Karya, Samakhya, the name, form, etc., function, they differ. But actually in space, there is no difference. So Jiva is not a Vikara, is not a product of the Atma, nor is it an Avyaya, a part of the Atma, just as pot space is not a part or a product of this total space. So these events called birth and death happen. So the pots appear as though, but actually consciousness, that is the Jiva, is unchanging, is timeless. And Gaudapada, he further says, Sanghataha swapnavat sarva atma maya visarjitaha. So all these different forms, they are projected by Maya Shakti of the Atma only. And this Jivatmanaha Prithakatvam, the separateness of the Jiva and the Atma, which is declared in the scriptures, is only secondary. So this Srishti has been taught through different examples, the clay pot, gold ornaments, sparks, fire, etc. But what about it? Upayaha saha avataraya. It is just a method to point out to the Lakshya for the understanding of non-duality. So don't look down on duality at all. It is just a means to an end. Bhedaha nasti. There is no difference whatsoever between Jiva and Ishvara. So then, what is the unchanging truth? Advaitam paramarthaha hi dvaitam tad bheda uchyate. Non-duality is indeed the absolute reality. Tesham ubhayatha dvaitam tena ayam na virudhyate. So what we understand as duality is really just a manifestation, just some form, some name, some function which cannot exist on its own. And so, but for dualists, the one for whom duality is real, then they are in bandha. So how else to understand it? Well, the Upanishads themselves are so clear. So there are so many mantras. Neha nana iti cha amnayat indro maya bhi iti api. So this is 3.24 of Mandukya Karika. So this sahatu jayate, the Atma apparently is born. This is as revealed. But neha nanasti kinchana, na iha nana iti. So in this Atma, nana means Nanaji can be there, but nanatvam, there is no plurality at all. Because our definition of reality is so beautiful, that which cannot be negated, abadhitam satyam, that which always is. Forms change, who you are, what you are as consciousness, unchanging. So if indeed there was a real creation, then there cannot be a Vedic mantra which negates na nasti, that there is no this multiplicity. So Vedic mantra cannot say this at all, but mantra says it. That means what? All that is here is Advaitam. Then further, Indro Maya Bhihi Puru Rupa Iyate. So Atma Parameshwara, they are seen as many due to Maya. And this Maya Shakti teaches us that what we call creation is really a non-event. It did not really happen. So it is just Indriya Janita, knowledge which is avidya created. So Parameshwara as though became many, many forms. And then further one other mantra is there. Ajayamano bahudha vijayate. So remaining unborn, bahudha appears as many. So this mantra again clearly tells us that what is never born, how can you say it is taken so many forms? So the mantras that Shankaracharya quotes in his Bhashya are not Jiva-Srshti. He is referring to Ishvara-Srshti, and he is saying what you are calling as Ishvara Krita Srishti actually never, it seemed to have happened, but all that you see and experience, it is really apparent. Apparent meaning it cannot exist on its own. It has a status of mithyatvam, What is mithya is valid, is real until you see the reality of it. And that is not a reason for us to escape, but only for adhikaris to appreciate that everything is apparent. I as in Atma, Parameshwara, Brahman, am the only being. So Vaitatya Prakaranam further says, Tattvam adhyatmikam drishtva, Tattvam drishtva tu bahyataha. So seeing the Tattvam, seeing the reality that is centered on the body, Adhyatmikam Tattva, then drishtva tu bahyataha, seeing the reality that is outside, again inside, outside, just reference, standpoints. What happens? Tatvi bhutaha, tad aramaha. When the person sees this reality that is centered on the body, that this jiva indeed is the Atma, and what I see outside is also the Atma Brahman, he tatvi bhutaha becomes one with tattva, the reality. And then what? Tadaramaha. So reveling in that reality, aprachyutaha bhavet tattvat, does not move away from that reality. In other words, abides in that reality. So Shankaracharya, he says, what is bahyam is what? It is all this panchabhuta srishti, and it is rajju sarpadivat. So just as the snake is projected on the rope, and therefore there is fear, but once when you see the reality, then it's not like the snake transforms into the rope. You just realize there was never the snake. And this is really the vision of the jnani, that and likewise, vacharambanam vikaro namadheyam chandogya. So all that I experience are names and forms. They don't exist by themselves. All that I experience, including this body mind also, doesn't exist by itself. It has date of birth, date of death. But what is unchanging, what is timeless, what is consciousness, what always is you. And therefore, the journey of the jiva from Jiva-Srshti to Ishvara-Srshti to this apparent Srishti is complete. And so what else to do? Well, Shruti says, tatra ko moha ka shokaha. Then what confusion, what sorrow is there? Because ekatvam anupashyataha, the person, all that the person sees is ekatvam. Ekatvam sees the differences in the forms, but the drishti is that all that is here is one, Advaitam, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahman. So the consciousness that is I is always present, has no boundaries, has no lack. And the journey of Vedanta is complete. Om Tat Sat.
Thank you, Swamini ji, for a very fascinating, very insightful talk. As you were speaking, continuously there is only one mantra that was one shloka that was going on in my mind from the Gaudapada Acharyas Mandukya Karika. Na nirodho, na chotpattir, na baddho, na sa sadhaka. Wonderful verse, and the whole talk was, as in a sense, a enunciation of this verse, that ultimately there is no creation, no dissolution, no seeker, no liberation, no bondage. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Swamini ji. I think we have one or two questions. Viewers, if you have any questions, please post it now. We'll take it up. One of the questions we have received, Swamini ji, is My mind, it says that my mind continuously alter high or low state of mind. Please tell how I always be present in high spiritual state. I am unable to control the mind after 10 to 15 days. Especially there arises sexual feelings and spoil the mind. Please explain how I am able to control the mind.
Before we control the mind, we want to be clear about what our pursuits are. So use the mind as an instrument to understand whatever are your pursuits. So your pursuit of money, your pursuit of pleasure, and so on. Look at the roles that you are performing. I know that your question is about the mind, but I'm asking you to shift your attention. Look at the different roles that you are performing in your life, and then focus on what you can do in those roles. So when you apply your mind for, let's say, being a student or being a son or being a boyfriend or being a work professional, whatever it is, then you are aligned with dharma. Sexual desire is very normal, and congratulations, you are normal. Okay, so that's not a problem. We only want to align our sexual desire with dharma. If you are with a person, if you are married, then it is wonderful for you to enjoy this glimpse of ananda. So what we want to do is we want to align our mind to dharma. Do not make these distinctions of low state of mind, high state of mind. Recognize your mind is a gift from Bhagavan. And Bhagavan says it very clearly in the Gita. It is a gift for you. It is a vibhuti. Ahamatma gudakeshaha sarva bhuta shayastitaha. I am present in all the beings. So when you recognize your mind as a gift from Bhagavan, you're not going to abuse it. And you are not going to struggle so much with yourself. So mastery of the mind in the context of applying dharma in all your roles will help you to put attention on what is important in your life. Then all the things that are not so important, they will just fall away. So if there are any follow-up questions, then you please get in touch with me directly and then we can resolve it. Okay.
Thank you, Swamini-ji. Another question that we have is, in all appreciation of Brahman being the reality, the fact is that creation is a Vyavaharika Satya with its own dharma and non-escape karma. So how does this understanding and realizing Brahman help? I mean, imagine even Abhimanyu was not spared in Krishna's presence. So that's a comment. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So we want to move from Pratibhasika Satyam, that is our subjective reality, Jiva-Srshti, into the understanding of Ishvara-Srshti so that we don't have so much sorrow. So now naturally Ishvara-Srshti has its Vyavaharika Satyam and its Dharma. And so you will keep performing your roles and responsibilities. At best, who are you? You are the karta, the doer. You will experience sukha dukkha. And naturally, you're going to do a lot of karma. There will be punya papa, all again fructifying into sukha dukkha cycle goes on. If you are happy with the sukha dukkha in your life, kabhi khushi, kabhi gum, you don't need to understand Brahman at all if you have reconciled with it. But most of us cannot reconcile with dukkha because it feels very foreign to us. Like, no, I don't want, please give me one solution. I want to get rid of whatever is my sorrow. So what you are really saying is you want to return to your natural nature. The desire for moksha may or may not have emerged in you. So I would say just do your dharma, understand Ishvara pervading law of karma, and then Ishvara will only bless you. The understanding Brahman helps the one who has jignasa, who wants to know the truth. So the person says, you know what, I am the karta and I am the bhokta, I am the doer, I am the experiencer. But this is not enough for me. I am a devotee, yes, but all my achievements, all my relationships, everything will come to an end when there is date of death. I can't handle this loss. I cannot handle this sorrow. I want a way out. And then Shruti is always available to say that you were never the karta, you were never the bhokta. So you were never the doer nor the experiencer. So Vedanta is only for a discerned seeker. Otherwise, see, anyway, dharma is a framework for a wise or otherwise person. For a wise person, dharma is spontaneous. For an otherwise person, there is conscious effort to, more deliberateness to understand what is my dharma, what is my samanya dharma, how does that translate into Vishesha dharma in all my roles, responsibilities, including my relationships with rishis, with pitras, ancestors, with my plants and animals, bhutaha, with manushyaha, and so on. So we are not trying to escape karma. We put some effort, and in time, karma becomes so effortless. You realize you are always bigger than every situation, every karma. And that is the growth that karma yoga blesses you with. And for some people, there will be desire for moksha.
Thank you, Swamini ji. That was a very elaborate and stage by stage answer. Thank you very much. I think we have one final question. What is the difference between Patanjali yoga's, Chitta Vritti Nirodha concept and Vedanta's Mano Vritti Nigraha in the context of Sadhana Chatushtaya?
Yeah. See, when Patanjali defines yoga, Chitta Vritti Nirodha, we translate it as mastery of the mind is yoga. We cannot translate it as stopping of all thoughts is yoga. Because if that is the case, you cannot drive a car. You will have an accident if you stop all thoughts, because for living your life, thoughts are important. Then what are the thoughts that cause us disturbance? The thoughts that are born of rajas and tamas. So this is a bhashya of Patanjali, Shankara says it in his bhashya, Vyasa bhashya. So if I'm always troubled by desire, ambition, anger, or laziness, inertia, sleeping all the time, etc., etc., then I give in to these impulses and my mind is not available. So mastery of the mind through lot of this whole Ashtanga yoga is there step by step, so that I can have mastery of the mind. This is Patanjali's Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Now, in Vedanta, when we talk about sadhana chatushtaya, so mano nigraha, referring to shama. So here, we can adopt Ashtanga yoga. You can adopt any method, but this mano nigraha, resolution of the mind, mastery of the mind, comes from viveka. So seeing what is temporary, what is relatively lasting. If Atma was really clear, then, this Vitya, Nitya, Anitya, Vastu, Viveka, if you go all the way, then you already know the truth. But anyway, this just distinguishing between what is real and what is not, or rather what is temporary, what is lasting, and taking care of one's life, coming to terms with why me? Why did this happen to me? Why are my parents like this? Why is my boss like this? Why am I like this? So, you make your peace with the law of karma. In other words, you make your peace with Ishvara. Therefore, you have very little things that bother you. And as a result of which you have the time and attention and leisure, you have Shama, which is helpful for you to fully focus on your pursuit of Vedanta. This Mano Nigraha can come through pranayama, asana, dhyana, and all other different healing modalities that are there. But every person has to go through this journey. Otherwise, Vedanta will be information. Vedanta is you. It's not a concept. It's not a theory. It's not a practice. It is you. But it will sit in one corner of the head if there is not enough mano nigraha. So we have to work on this self-mastery as well. Okay, so that's the difference. Yeah.
Thank you, Swamini ji, again for a wonderful discussion. I think this is a very important topic. While on one hand, it is important to understand the goal of life or the reality at a say at a theoretical level, but it is equally important to understand how to work towards it and from where we stand. So, a kind of a roadmap is what is practically useful, and you have shed much light on this. So with this note, I thank you on the behalf of entire Indica Moksha and all our viewers for making time for this wonderful session, Swamiji.
Thank you very much. It's always a joy to be with you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Viewers, tomorrow morning, we have a session by Professor V. Krishnamurti. This will be his third talk on gleanings from Saundarya Lahari. This is as part of the special sessions on weekend that we are bringing this festival. So he'll be shedding more light on some more shlokas from Saundarya Lahari. So do join at 7 a.m. If you have not registered, do register for our Zoom session, or you can also watch on YouTube or Facebook page. With this note, we conclude this session. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.